on this Sunday, the readings, particularly Matthew's Gospel, taken from chapter 13, present parable before us. In the first parable, the person cultivating the land finds great treasure. He goes to sell all that he has to buy that field. He was so joyful about it. He buys the field so that the treasure buried there will be his. He was not searching for treasure, he just stumbled upon it. The second presents a merchant who was actually in search of pearl, and he found one of great price. And he sold all that he has to buy that pearl. What is this talking about? Jesus is using parable. I've explained it before. Parable taken from the word parabole. Two Greek words put together. One is para, that's where we get the word pair or parallel, so running together. Another one is bole, that's where we get the word bowling, so to throw. So Jesus throws the things of the world and the things of the kingdom in parable to help us to understand. But what is he talking about here? Finding something that is of the highest value for your life. Do you have one? Something of the greatest value. It's challenging us to think about that thing that is number one in our lives. Oftentimes, people are going to say it's God, and I hope it is. But when they say it's God, our actions have to match our words, not just by saying it. When God says something, if God is my ultimate, I do it regardless of every other opinion. He continues in the third parable about cultivation, time of harvest. He talks about harvest last week, but this week is about someone who throws the net that catches all sorts of fish, good and bad alike. That is the church. The church is not a place for saints, it's for all sinners and saints alike. That's why sometimes when people say, well, I don't go to church, there are so many bad people in there, it's almost like saying, I don't want to go to hospital because there are sick people in the hospital. That's what it's meant for. Church is meant for sinners. The last time I checked, I'm one of them. So are you. But even though we are sinners, we need out what the highest values of our lives are and make effort to return to that highest value, because on the last day, the good will be separated from the bad. When people say everybody goes to heaven, not true, not true. It just says it separates the good from the bad. So those who go to church but are making effort every single day to return to the highest value of their lives, hopefully God, when they make sincere effort, they are called the good. They're going to be separated so they can go to heaven. But those who maybe go to church or do not go to church and mix everything up. You know, people mix everything up, left, right, and center. They mix politics and confuse it with religion. They call evil good, and if something is bad, they call it good. They're going to be separated, and the Bible says they're going to be burned in a furnace. I'm going to say, well, I went to church every day. I was A, B, and Z. That's what the Bible says. I do not know you. When we choose what we hold as the greatest value, I hope that is God. Most of us come to church once a week, and we spend only 1 hour with God. When we go back or go out there at our places of work or in the world or in the school, wherever we find ourselves, there are going to be a lot of opinions and teachings of the world. So oftentimes we spend time with those things out of the world rather than we spend time with God. So we need to find some niche that can bring us regularly back to God. In the first reading today, taken from the book of wisdom, Solomon is asked to choose what will guide him and bring him back to God. He already knows, according to what St. Augustine said many years later, that God made us for himself, and there is nothing in this world that can satisfy us except God. If you have more, you're going to feel good today. Tomorrow they want more and more and more. Where is the satisfaction? It never comes, because only God can satisfy us. Nothing in this world can. So Solomon is asked to make a choice. Choose. Ask me for anything. God asked him to make that question, and rather than asking for wealth or for the things of this world that can be so fleeting, they come and go, and there's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the things of the world, except that we cannot make God out of them. And often people do. They make God out of people, sport, game, pet. People make God out of them, but they don't know, because they don't put candles and incense around them. But when you really watch people, you see what they make the highest values of their lives. Choose. Solomon says, give me wisdom. So wisdom becomes the connecting point that reminds him every single day to come back to the Lord, his highest value. Wisdom to discern right from wrong, good from evil. You think people still know that today in our world? They know what is right from wrong and do good from evil? A lot of times people are blinded by power, blinded by politics, blinded by self-interest. They call good evil and call evil good. Give me wisdom to discern what is right from what is wrong. When I discern it, then I will be able to come back to you, the ultimate value of my life. That's what Solomon is asking. There's a story about a young boy who his dad passed, and he was really missing his dad. But after some time, he decided to clean the garage, the storage, and throw things away. He saw this dirty boot that he wanted to throw away. But then a note fell from the boot, and it was his father's handwriting. This boot helped me to walk, to work every single day, to labor, to be the best that I could be by bringing money to help my children, be the best husband by bringing money to help my family and help my spouse. This boot reminds me of what love is. Love can be disfigured. They can be disfigured in love. This is the boot that helped me. So the son, rather than throwing it away, started crying. He took the boot, put it in his sitting room, and everybody who came to his house said, "What are you doing with this dirty boot?" That boot reminded him every single morning as he woke up to go to work, be hardworking like his dad, so he will come back and be the best dad and the best husband and the best citizen that he could be. He wasn't worshiping the boot, but the boot became a reminder for him to go back to his highest values, the love of his father. When I was in grade school, my grandmother taught me how to put the crucifix in my room. I have it in all my rooms. I have crucifix in all my rooms. I hope you have some in your rooms and in my office, everywhere, crucifix. What does it do? When you wake up in the morning, look at that crucifix. My grandmother said, kneel down and do your morning prayer. I still do it every single day. My morning offering, the one she taught me since 3rd grade, can't remember any day that I missed it unless I was so sick. I wake up in the morning, look at that crucifix in my room, and I kneel down. That crucifix, I'm not worshiping, but it's a reminder that brings me back to the highest value of my life, God, every single day. I hope you have one in your house. Have something in your car. I see spouse who wear rings. They're not worshiping rings. Rings are a reminder that bring them back to their love. We need to choose something because we live in a world that throws so many crazy stuff around us, and we can be taken away without knowing. I've seen a lot of people who have buried their head in politics. They don't know the truth again. They think they know. They want to take the message of the gospel and force into their own ideology. And if it does not work, the Pope is bad. The bishop is bad. the priest is bad, the church is bad. No, it is not. It is because you have been so confused by the ideologies of the world versus the values of the kingdom. A few years ago, my niece, who went to school in London, called me and said, "Uncle, I want to tell you something you did for me. It's very good." I'm like, "Oh my, what else do you want?" She said, "I go online every now and then and I listen to your homily, and it's always talking about the love of God." And when I thought about that, when I wanted to give up in my studies, that motivated me to remember the love of my family and how I can struggle and come back to also be a lady or a woman of love. She got me crying. That's my motto. Maybe you already know. John's Gospel, chapter 15, verse 13. That's mine. "Greater love than this no one has, that someone should lay down his life for his friends." That's what Jesus said, and I've used it as my motto for a very long time. John 15, 13. Choose yours. You can write down somewhere to bring you back again and again to the ultimate source of your life. When I faced difficulties, I was in Nigeria and I went to get a visa, and I know a little bit about immigration. I was denied visa for 6 times. Each time I was denied, you wait for 6 months. So I was denied for 3 years before I came. What made me to go back? I told the bishop I wanted to be a priest. Bishop of Rockford accepted me online and all that, with letters and all that. But that motivation, lay down your life for your friends, go back again. Jesus did it. That's what motivated me. And there are a few organizations that I joined or some that I have started. It's all about how we can love God and love our neighbor. That's my motivation. Choose yours. Sometimes I can bring you back to God. This young man saw the book. Solomon chose wisdom. Mine is John 15, 13. What is yours that when you pass, your family members can see that and say, "That's what Dad held on to. That was Mom's pillar. That was my brother, my sister's anchor that brought him or her back to the ultimate value of life, which is God." Do you have something? Think about it this week. Pray about it. Get it from the Bible, the catechism, the tradition, and the sense of the church. Let it bring you back to God. Otherwise, we can be taken away without knowing. That's why Jesus throws the things of the world and the things of the kingdom in a parable to teach us that we must hold on to the highest value, something we can sell everything else, personal opinion, political opinion, customary opinion, anything that can interest us in this world, we are willing to let it go. Like the man who found the great treasure and sold everything he had and came back with joy to buy that land. And then the merchant who got rid of everything he had to take this pearl, because on the last day, it's not those who said to me, "Lord, Lord, I will get to the kingdom of heaven." It's going to be those who do the will of my Father. There's going to be separation of good and bad. And those who will make it are those who hold God as their highest value.